Don't quote me on it, but I think he loved that so much, fighting someone, a legend like that, that I think that he's even told me, oh yeah, I want to fight Amir Khan. And you get that six pack and you get down to like 160 pounds, 165 pounds, and you're looking ripped and stuff. That's the time to get your redemption on Wassabi.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Misfits News. I'm your host, Ben the Bane Davis, alongside my co-host, BL. We're going to bring you some interesting updates in the world of crossover boxing. But before we get into it, you know the question I got to ask. BL, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Ben, I'm loving the attire today. Talk me through it. I'm loving the blue polo.
Yep. I've got an Old Navy photo shoot later that I have to model for.
Well, it's great to have you on, and obviously the hard work you bring into Misfits News. People need to know Ben's on the travel, and he's always making it for Misfits News. So I'm expecting you to always go back down there, subscribing, liking, and sharing this video always. Before we get into all the latest happenings in the crossover world, let me give you the run-through of today's agenda. So on today's agenda, Ryan Taylor versus Miss is potentially cancelled. Danny Aarons has finally revealed some boxing footage. Dean versus Carmel Motons is in talks with Mams Taylor. And finally, to end things off, Daley Perales is joining the Misfits booth. So Ben, I'm going to throw the question towards you. There was meant to be a face-off between Ryan Taylor and Miss. We haven't really heard much from Miss's end. So can you give us a breakdown? What's really going on?
Yeah, there's been some words exchanged from one side of this fight that's suggesting, oh, you're not turning up to the face-offs and this, that, the other. It's a little more complex than that, I believe. As the guy who is obviously the host of several of these digital face-offs, things are fluid. It's not like we've got the ability to just snap our fingers and then it all happens and everyone's in the right places. So I don't think that the fight would be canceled. I just think that face-off is potentially just going to get pushed a little bit back. And maybe we'll do it in person, which I think could be a more interesting one. That's usually how it goes. If we don't get it digitally, we'll do it during fight weekend. For this fight in particular, I think we got enough beef to do it in person.
We're going to need a whole herd of security to make that in-person face-off happen, because what people need to remember is these two fighters have some real beef. I mean, this really stems back from the start. Miss not including Ryan Taylor in one of his songs, and then the beef really started to continue. They had fights in person, and it's really got out of hand. So the fact Mams Taylor being able to make this fight happen, I can't wait to see how it pans out in fight week, if we make it to fight week.
Now, we did get some footage of Bevo hitting the pads earlier last week, but now we've got Danny Aarons inside the ring. BL, how did he look? Was it up to the expectation that he's been building in people's minds?
As you say, the expectation Danny Aarons had been saying, I was expecting to see prime Floyd Mayweather. However, what I did see was not bad. People need to remember he did start off this year. He's only had a few months. He looked like he had some speed. He looked like he had some decent fundamentals. So don't expect too much. Don't get too excited when these crossover boxers are saying they're the next best thing, because most likely they're not going to be. So whether this fight is closer than people think and anticipate, it probably will be. From seeing both their pad work, I think it's going to end up being a really good fight. What do you think, Ben?
I agree. It's going to be a fun clash. I don't think it's much of a secret how I feel about both guys. Bevo, I'm not sure what we're going to get. We released a video of him talking about how this isn't a one-off. He's going to get through Danny Aarons, and then he wants Joe Weller, among other people. And man, that is running before you're walking. You know what I mean? Come on, Bevo. Let's focus on the task at hand. And again, I just don't think he's going to beat Danny Aarons. So,
well, what has been revealed to us is Danny Aarons said they will be fighting in the Copper Box Arena, as we know, in July. And someone that will be joining them is Swarms.
That's interesting. Swarms' return. He had that tough loss to Ed Matthews, I believe, last time out. He's been searching for a bounce back. Maybe they redo it. Maybe you do Swarms and Ed Matthews too, because in my opinion, I don't think Swarms is given the fairest of shakes. I understand it was a knockdown, but that ankle, I mean, come on, that played a factor. So Swarms and Ed Matthews too, following Ed losing to Pineda. I think that'd be fun. And then the Copper Box Arena, it's kind of a return. That's where KSI and Joe Weller got this entire thing started. So the fact that we're doing another event there, I think should be an ode to the fans, the hardcores that have been around since the beginning.
Well, you mentioned the name Joe Weller, and obviously he's been showing more training. I think we could potentially be seeing a Joe Weller return at the Copper Box Arena, but that just might be my instinct kicking in here.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Joe fight.
Now, today we're joined with not only a boxing coach, but I'm going to say a veteran of the scene, Daley Perales. How are we doing today?
What's up, man? What's up?
It's good to have you on the channel, but obviously something I want to bring to attention is that King Kenny fight against Adam Brooks. Can you talk us through when you got offered this fight? What was your initial reaction to that?
Yeah, good fight. I mean, I come from the professional boxing world, so when I look at things completely different to the way probably a lot of influencer people do. Um, so when it Adam Brooks, the in the influencer world, the obvious thing to say is why is he fighting him? He's 44 years of age. Why would he have a fight like that? But in my view, from a professional point of view, he's had an unlicensed fight. He knocked the guy out. On his Misfits debut, he knocked the guy out. So obviously he's got power and he's game. And just like in professional boxing, when people have a loss, you don't just go straight in against, the fights that people, necessarily want. You want to get back into to feel the flow of things. Not saying Adam's an easy fight at all.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, in the influencer world, I know who they want to see. They want to see Kenny versus Salt Pappy, maybe Kenny versus Slim, but there's loads of factors in that. One, Kenny lost. Salt Pappy lost his last fight as well.
Exactly.
Is he going in against someone that all the influencer fan base the world, know? I haven't heard of the guy. But so it's about building it and then doing it in the right setup, the right arena, because obviously this arena is not the biggest arena, the next fight.
Yeah.
So why would you fight someone like a Salt Pappy in that arena? It has to be the right event where all the eyes are on it. And the money's right. Obviously, the business side of things has to be right. Not just going to do things just for the sake of it to make people happy. Kenny's going to want to do what's best for him and his career. He's got a life. He needs to look after his future. Boxing, especially, is a short career, so you have to make as much money as you can so you can invest it into other ventures.
Absolutely. Now, I want to touch on something you said there earlier. Obviously, Adam Brooks, although people may not know him, he does have 2 knockouts. So I now ask the question, do you think he's one of the more dangerous fighters that Kenny's fighting? Not the most difficult, but I say dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we've trained hard. We've trained hard for this, probably harder than all the other fights. We say that every fight because we don't take any fight for granted, Kenny only had his first fight in 2022, and that's what people have to realize. You've got a boxer that never knew how to throw a single punch, didn't know any fundamentals, how to move his head, how to move his feet, nothing at all about boxing. Had his first fight in 2022, and he's probably been one of the most active influencers in the scene, taking on hard fights. You tell me what influencer in their first fight was fighting people like Kenny fought. In his second fight, fighting Sensei. None of these influencers are doing that. So if you're talking about building fights with Salt Pappy, who was Salt Pappy's fight? They both boxed on the same show for their first fight. Kenny had temper. Salt Pappy had halal ham. On the next fight, Kenny had Sensei, who everyone avoids. Who does Salt Pappy have? Someone that wouldn't even be fit enough to lace up any boxer's boots, that didn't know any boxing whatsoever, and just got him off the sofa and gave him an easy fight. So you see what I mean? I'm not trying to put down.
No, it makes sense.
People, but Kenny's had a tough road, and because he's had a tough road, and because he's learning, and because he's a novice in my world, he's gonna make mistakes and he's gonna have ups and downs. And that's why every fight, if you look at when he lost to Raksu, what did we do? He chucked himself straight into a tournament, and look what he done in that tournament.
It's true.
Okay. And yeah, so I feel like when Kenny has a loss, it's a chance to get better because he needs those losses. So he needs to experience that so he can look at, oh, this is what boxing's all about. I can't just go in there and do this, X, Y, and Z. I need to go back to the gym. I need to keep learning and improving. And that's what we've been doing every single time. And this is no different. And we've trained hard for this and we've added to his repertoire. I know from a professional point of view why certain things didn't go right into the Anthony Taylor fight. And, we want to put on a great display this fight. I want this fight to be like, reason I was hyped at the weekend, because reason why I was so hyped because of Ryan Garcia. I'm a boxing fan. And now I'm not saying Kenny's a Ryan Garcia, but what I'm saying is, I want that same kind of energy that Ryan Garcia brought into that ring against Adam Brooks. I want those violins to be playing and have that same energy. And what people don't see behind the scenes, Kenny is around all my fighters, my pro fighters, and they have unbelievable mentality when it comes to training, when it comes to learning, and when it comes to fight night. You know, the vibe in the dressing room, we all are in the dressing room together. We're like one big family. And when you got that kind of energy, that gives you something extra for fights. And before you mention something, I just want to mention something, because Adam Brooks, I've got a few bones to pick with Adam Brooks, right? Adam Brooks, a very nice person, gentleman. You know, we always shake hands at every event. Very nice guy. I ain't got nothing bad to say to him about him, but he's saying some things that are not true. And obviously, I know the game. Probably 9 times out of 10, he's probably doing it to try and get in under Kenny's skin, but it ain't gonna work because he's around me and my fighters, so that stuff ain't gonna work. I've taught him about mind games. I've taught him that side of the game. I don't just teach fighters boxing, I teach the other stuff as well. So Kenny ain't gonna fall for any of that stuff. But if he does believe what he's saying, and then he's in for a big shock when he's saying, oh, Kenny doesn't spar my pro fighters properly. It's only like sparring. Are you crazy? Like, my gym is called Trenches. It's called Trenches for a reason. You know what I mean? This is a gym that's built on hard work from the ground up, to the point where, how can I put it? We're people that have come from nothing, no money. That's the mindset we have, that tomorrow could be our last day. So we put everything into everything. So when Kenny, and I'll tell you what, before, Adam might be right. Before, a few fights ago, I'll be like, take it easy on Kenny, and I'll spar people more his level or above his level. But Kenny's getting to the point where I can't do that, because he's getting developed so rapidly that I have to show him what boxing is actually really about. You know what I mean? To build that character for fights. My fighter, Martin Foru, and my fighter, George Mitchell, they have been in some wars with him. And Kenny has getting to the point where he's standing there and he's trading with them and not backing down. You know what I mean? So if he can do that against my pro fighters, all I need him to do is to channel that into the ring. And that's it. It's game over. If he channels that into the ring, and then May the 11th is going to be a problem. And then the other thing is, Adam Brooks keeps calling him youngin. So he done that face off with him. And he's telling Kenny, oh, you're disrespecting me by calling me an old man and stuff. Kenny said it one time. Adam Brooks has been calling him a young'un in every single post or everything he says on social media. Young'un, 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 young'un. Like he's some bloody that back of the alley drug dealer. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So if he wants to keep calling him young'un, all right, we're going to show him what young'uns do.
Now, obviously, another big name that you do train, one of the crossovers, obviously being on Misfits Boxing, we need to talk about Deji. Could you give us an update in regards to whether he returns this year and what's going on at the moment?
No, with him, it's just like I think with Deji, it's a bit more like what's going to make sense business-wise. Deji's a businessman, you know? So... And I think he likes the fact that he fought Floyd Mayweather, and I think he wants another piece of that type of fight, I think. You know? Don't quote me on it, but I think he loved that so much, fighting someone, a legend like that, that I think that he's even told me, oh yeah, I want to fight Amir Khan, you know, in an exhibition. So all these kind of fights, I think he's interested in these kind of fights, like fighting another exhibition against someone of that caliber, like a Amir Khan, you know. Yeah. So and I think if it's an influencer, I've personally told him, right. So he's got that bet with his brother.
Yes, which I was going to bring up. So
yeah, he's got that bet with his brother. So he's training for that. Yeah. So he's been in the gym. It's just I don't post stuff. I've got stuff of me and him in the gym. I just, you know, there's only so much I can post of Deji. And people are going to go, ask me so many questions, so that's why I don't do it. But I've told him, listen, if you win that bet and you get that six-pack and you get down to like 160 pounds, 165 pounds, and you're looking ripped and stuff, that's the time to get your redemption on Wassabi.
Exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
That's personally what I would do. Now, as I said, it's different in professional boxing. I control what my fighters do. In influencer boxing, I can't control. I can say what I want. And I know he beat Wassabi. That first fight, he was only with me for 6 weeks. And for 3 of those weeks, we all had COVID and was in bed. And he still went in there and done a good performance and showed progression in that fight in such a short space of time. So I know for a fact, with the experience he's got now, you've seen the way he was against Fuzi. You saw how he improved against Swarms. Even Floyd Mayweather helped him with that by sharing a ring with one of the greatest of all time, helped him with becoming better. And that's why you saw a professional looking Deji against Swarms. So I know for a fact, Wassabi, I reckon he'd knock out Wassabi if they was to fight. 100%, he'd knock him out.
I'd love to see that fight, honestly, if we can make that happen.
It needs to be done with him looking trimmed and ready to fight. And that's when he will do damage. To a lot of influencers, he will do damage if he looks like that.
Do you believe he's going to be able to make it? Do you believe he's going to get the abs?
It's all down to him, because let me tell you something, man. It's not what you do inside the gym. It's what you do outside the gym, you know? So I can do everything I can inside the gym for them, and not just Deji, all my fighters. But then if they go outside the gym and then they're not running, if they go outside the gym and they're eating fried chicken and pizza, and then yeah, you're not gonna get the abs. So it's all down to Deji to meet me 50-50. We work hard in the gym like we always do, but do the 50% outside the gym.
Abs are made in the kitchen, as some people may say. But
exactly, it's true.
Wow, what a great guest that Daley Perales is. He gives us all the insights, and he's a veteran to the scene. However, there's a few things that stood out to me, Ben, that I want to break down with you. He said Deji will return to the ring for a fight like Amir Khan, or potentially what Daley prefers to see is a rematch with Wassabi.
I think it'd be interesting. I think that'd be great. I know the whole conversation with Deji right now is, can he get the six-pack? But maybe he's already got it. Guys, we don't know. Maybe he's deep in a training camp.
He's got cheese tray down there.
He's got the fat suit on. That's what it is. No, we don't know. I think Amir Khan would be a fun step up. Obviously he fought Floyd Mayweather. Amir, one of a beyond decorated boxer. I'd love to see it. The rematch with Wassabi. Why not? I just think he should fight. I think Deji should mix it up and maybe find that fire. And either of those opponents, I think, could be co-main or mains.
Well, Misfits are asking for a pay-per-view fight, and I think Amir Khan, I mean, if you're asking for a pay-per-view fight, that is a pay-per-view fight to have. That is a super, for me, yes, skill to skill, it's completely bad. But when you look at what Jake Paul has done and fighting ex-fighters and now going into a fight with Mike Tyson, it could be an interesting prospect to potentially do as an exhibition. So obviously making headlines once again, we've got to bring his name up, Dean the Great. He's been calling out everyone left, right, and center, but someone that gave him attention after that Ryan Garcia fight was Kermel Motens. Now, a lot of you may not know who Kermel Motens is. He is a Mayweather prodigy. He has gone into the ring now multiple times and put on performances. This guy is a threat. However, Dean the Great, as always, he wants that fight. So, Ben, what do you make of that fight?
Of course he does. Dean's a fighter. Dean's a fiery individual. He's not going to back down from anybody. I think it's, again, to stay consistent with what I've said before, we have an interim lightweight tournament. It is for Dean the Great, and that matchup needs to materialize. It would be kind of tough if we had Dean versus someone else, and then Dean gets flatlined, right? God forbid, but let's say he gets flatlined. Then the entire tournament loses a lot of luster. And I think the efforts that we're putting and the energy that we're putting there just becomes dulled a bit, and the potential is no longer what it was. So to me, I just don't want to see anything other than Dean fighting the winner. And granted, let's hope this interim lightweight tournament kind of speeds along a bit quickly. But yeah, I mean, Dean versus that guy would be fun. But to me, just to stay consistent, I just don't want anything to happen to this interim lightweight tournament.
Well, we may not have a choice because Mams Taylor actually got involved, which surprised me, to be fair. And he said, I'm making it happen. He's going to put the call in. So whether we see Dean the Great and Kermel Motens meet in the ring, and let me just put it there, Ben. If Dean was to beat Kermel Motens, oh my God, would that flip the boxing world, just as Ryan Garcia did to Devin Haney?
Yeah. If that occurred, then the interim lightweight tournament is kind of cooked. Sorry, Joey Knight. Sorry, buddy.
Just give it to Baby Hulk at that point.
Just give it, have him lose first round, come all the way back around. That'd be great. I mean, come on, exactly. It'd be an upset, and I think there'd be a lot of legitimacy. Dean is that good. I truly believe that he's on that same level. So if it happens, if Mams creates it, then listen, yes, it's a pay-per-view event. I can have my own opinions about it, but you better fucking believe I'll be there front row watching. So guys, thank you for tuning in to another fun week of Misfits news every Tuesday and Thursday. You simply don't want to miss it. For BL, I've been Ben the Bane Davis. Make sure you comment down below, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.